Hi there, and thank you for clicking on my video. This video is going to be more of a attempt at a sales pitch, if you will. There's no sponsored, and I don't need your credit card. Um, but the kit guns, particularly the catchmoon, are actually in a particularly good spot. I've been using and kind of abusing the catchmoon. Um, this was about the most meta that could meta for the longest time until they nerfed the crap out of it. Um, but honestly, I find myself doing Steel Path recently with it. Uh, the damage is multiplicative on the pulse. It fires a pulse, little torpedoes, if you will. But the damage is multiplicative, and you can get some really nasty results out of it. And not only that, due to the new galvanized mods, and more particularly the hemorrhage mod, because this weapon has a forced impact on it. Um, Now, as most of you probably would have discounted it, rightfully so, the range is super short. But you can actually influence it with range mods. So I'm going to go over a couple of builds, and then we'll talk about the final build for a second. So this is... You just managed to get... Oh, hold on. Catchmoon Splat Haymaker. About as meta as you can get. This is a very, very cheap and efficient. Um, it is forma intensive because this fits everything. You would not need as many forma, and if you don't want to put an Exilis on it right now, you could get rid of lethal momentum and not have an Exilis slot. But this is going to be for star chart running. Very basic. It's a corrosive build, multi-shot, lethal torrent, barrel diffusion, lethal torrent for multi-shot, regular pistol gambit, target cracker for CCCD, hornet strike is base damage, pistol pestilence, you get it from the void, and a convulsion 90 mod. Ironically, we're actually going to be using this in the final build. Pistol ammo mutation to keep our ammo up. We will be swapping over to the arcanes later. And with this lethal momentum to help us get our damage further out. It helps with the fall off, gets it up to 22. So it's not too much of a deal breaker. Obviously, the fall off is incredibly close. And under most circumstances, you actually wouldn't use it, which is why, particularly, I rolled a Riven with projectile speed and multi shot, so I could actually get the range up. So I'll show that later. But this is a bargain basement starter build, base damage, crit chance, crit damage, multi shot with lethal torrent, corrosive, and an ammo mutation. And I highly recommend putting an Exilis mod in this. You can make them. You get them from the Requiem relics. It'll cost you a couple forma to be able to slot it in, but the V polarity is innate. So let's see what the damage is. We'll do our 190 exos. Alright, give or take. You see what the damage is. Obviously, you will have upgraded before you start shooting guys like that. So, bargain basement build. A little bit more damage would be hydraulic crosshairs. It's a tiny bit. You tend to headshot with this weapon. It feels pretty good. You could also do corrosive heat. So swap this out. And do, what do we got? It requires jolt though. So this is a barrel mod. You might not have it. This will do slightly better damage because you'll be proccing the corrosive status more. And because the corrosive weighting is lower, you'll be getting more heat procs. Let me show you that real quick. The downside of the catchmoon haymaker splat is that it's not super good at applying statuses. You would want to use a primary catchmoon. Obviously, we're taking advantage of multi-shot to get our statuses on it. Alright, good enough. Let's head up to the mid tier. So, super basic, covers everything. Gonna have assumed you've done arbitrations, you haven't yet gotten to, you might be missing some prime mods. Again, we don't have Jolt. And you're getting ready for Steel Path. You've done arbitrations, so you have these. You've also, I'm two away, I've completely forgot about this, but you've done some Fortuna standing. You're working on getting this charged up. This will save us a mod slot, ammo mutation. So worth its weight in gold. Obviously, just getting the galvanized mods on there, even with the regular crit chance, crit damage mods, and even with no arcane, the damage goes way up. So just swapping over, assuming you have primed mods. Let's go ahead and try that real quick. We do not have the Steel Path Arcane, so this is still a Hornet Strike build. Alright, you get the idea. So the damage is scaling. Crit chance, crit damage, obviously putting in work. Now let's go ahead and add the arcane. You will probably farm Deadhead or Dexterity first. Merciless has a slightly lower chance to drop. I mean, at least for me, I had multiple sets of Deadhead and Dexterity before I completed my first Merciless. I think they're supposed to be the same. I can check it real quick. Yeah, they're all the same. 16.7% evenly across primary and secondary. But I know for me, this was the last one that, yeah, just checking all the acolytes. 16.7 across the board. But I know for my RNG, I farmed Merciless way last. Just because of the drop rates. I had Deadhead way before anything else. So, use whatever you got if you have the Arcane unlocked. This is a very Steel Path viable weapon. And it deals enough upfront corrosive that you can pretty easily trigger Deadhead. But we're going to show the damage for this. I am now assuming that you have some sort of PAX charge and you've unlocked the Steel Path Arcane. Obviously, yeah, that little 0.4% orange. Okay. Obviously, standing there getting headshots makes it look easy, right? So now let's go to the more advanced build. Obviously, there's going to be some barrow mods involved. We are actually going to, just so you can follow, galvanized shot, diffusion, lethal torrent is gone. Prime pistol gambit is gone. We're going to move that here. Hornet strike is gone. We are going to add hemorrhage to take advantage of the weapon's forced impact. Okay. We are going to get our crit with creeping bullseye. I know that seems a little opposite, but I'll explain it in a second. We're going to put a smite mod on, right? Reason being is we're going to add in velocity. We're going to offshore our fire rate. And if I don't use, because it's 1.17, Jesus, 0.17 plus. Because of the fire rate, and if I add 120%, it does knock me over 2.5, which reduces my slash chance. And this does give us 4 and change more crit chance. So because we're using velocity, if you are not using velocity, you would use the regular one. No issues. If you don't have... So if you don't have this... Hold on. This would be the next build. Right? So it's just a straight upgrade over what we had before. But this time we add in the hemorrhage. And actually, let me show you this, because these are more common. Most people don't get the smite mods, but the smite mod puts in massive amounts of work. Oh, I still have velocity on. So you can see we're getting slash ticks, 17k, 39k, 47k, and we're getting the raw damage from the corrosive. So the damage went way up, being able to take advantage of the hemorrhage mod. Yeah, and it's a one-shot now. And that's without the smite mod. Just using this build, it's a very comfy build. And deadhead, because we're using corrosive and not entirely dots. If this was a pure hemorrhage build, I would say use merciless instead. Like you could, I didn't. I liked the additive damage because this weapon is multiplicative, and it takes super good advantage of the multiplier on the base damage, and I just don't feel like I need it. I've already killed like 500s pretty easily. Well, it was like 1-2 shots, right? Especially, but I did have to swap over to Merciless because eventually you're not getting the one shots anymore. Hemorrhage is putting in most of the work. And Corrosive is just really good for raw damage against Grineer. So let's upgrade the build again. Okay. Obviously, you're not going to have my Riven. So we'll go to this one. We are full scaling. If you don't have this, we are going to be using Velocity. To get our attack speed. And we are now in one-shot territory of the 190s. Again, Creeping Bullseye, which has the minus fire rate to keep us underneath the 2.5. I could, I guess, theoretically down rank this one, use a rank 4. Or use a lower rank velocity if you have a couple of them sitting around. That's a little too nuanced, bro, for me to care to show it in a build, but you could do that also. So this works. And let's show this. Obviously the damage is going to be much higher. Alright, the Arcane didn't proc, because I was letting the dot tick. Hold on. The Hemorrhage mod makes the build. Alright, there we go. So 11Ks, 38K, 8K, 21K in the back. 37K. I mean, 100K slash tick isn't nothing to sneeze at. But there's that damage. If you wanted to scale the slash damage even more, you would end up having to get rid of these. Put that on there, and you could go like base damage. But that's a little forma intensive. Or even like Lethal Torrent, right? And really scale up the slash damage. You can see the slash damage doing a little more. It's not a tremendous amount. But the average is a little more. Alright, that was a good one. 140k slash. But I'm a big fan of I'm a big fan of the corrosive build. Obviously, just sharing the knowledge. You pick the build that you want, but I'm a fan of this build. Because you get the raw damage, you can trigger Deadhead easy enough, especially in Steel Path. It tends to be a one-shot. It's got nice multiplicative damage on it. And let me show you what I mean by that. Let's do viral. Alright, we'll swap over to viral. What do we got? $88, that'll be enough. So a couple 100K. Nothing to sneeze at. Oh. And for the final scaling, the meme build. Yeah, good enough. Oh. A buffer rhino. Little bit of strength. Let's do this one. It's more realistic. There's an invigoration on Rhino right now for 200 strength. I was messing around with it. Okay, so 343. Solid buffer. Not a game-breaking buffer. Okay, so 183. So half a mil. 117. 445. 293. Yeah, this is part of the reason why I wanted corrosive. Let me swap back over. So not too bad. Yeah, little baby 200K. So this is the philosophy behind the build, is eventually it just turns into a slash delivery system, which is how you would scale it even more. Honestly, with any sort of like higher end, if you will, build, where you're actually trying to go for like a level cap, if you will, you wouldn't build anything that wasn't explicitly what you needed. So if you're going against Grenier, it would be pure slash, something like this. And you could scale it more with like Hornet Strike, but that would be like another um, another forma. Or even like crosshairs or something. If you're running Rhino, you're gonna get headshots. So these would swap in and out, because you can always pick up crit off of like trash mobs. So it depends on how sweaty you want to be. This is the comfy build, and you would even have a flex slot. But this is part of the reason why I like the corrosive build. Is it's a nice, well-rounded build. Still allows you to get headshots easy enough. And if you're running Rhino, it's good enough. And I'll show you the 537 one. So 326. So, more or less, got a nice little 1.1 mil slash proc on it with the same build, but obviously that's a buffer knife, so your mileage may vary. But anyway, this weapon is particularly strong if you don't want to do faction mods. You can throw Hornet Strike. I have a Riven here. It even gives me a little bit of extra damage with the multi-shot, but the Smite mod or the Expel faction mod will definitely scale better. So for your consideration, it's pretty solid. The Steel Path AO at K, and I'm even gonna do a little bit of a Steel Path gameplay. We'll find our rock. All right, easy enough. All right, and I'm gonna do. I am gonna need a melee. Oh, speaking of this, we'll do the Nakana. All right, I'm just gonna do Steel Path Tavuni to the first Acolyte. Enjoy the footage. All right, let's get loaded in. I'm gonna try to describe what's going on because I know the particle effects can make it a little difficult. Um, we'll make it work. Oh, not that one. There we go.
Predictable. As expected, Grenier have shut down the environmental systems, sending modified life support capsules. Use these to sustain your environment or attach Kuba catalysts to begin harvesting.
Waste my time, Tenno.
I've delivered a life support capsule to the area. Activating it will buy you more time.
That wood will be difficult to replace. Unacceptable!
The Crew Strike 3 has been eliminated. Impressive. But Tenno, next time follow my orders. Life support incoming.
Alright, I'm seeing the numbers are kind of jumping around everywhere. If it's the first hit, I'm seeing anywhere from like 1200 to like 1600.
Additional life support.
Second hit, obviously haven't been primed. Given the galvanized damage mod, some statuses to sink its teeth into. But it's like a mini Archoplasmor. And how it clears enemies out. Obviously, it's not as effective distance-wise.
Our operative is making progress. This will help our cause. Critical life support levels. Extraction is your best option.
Alright, just waiting on an Acolyte now.
Life support activated. Life support has been replenished.
You stole my gun again. Alright, here we go, Acolyte. Alright, about, what was that, 4 or 5 shots? Not a ton. Not a one shot. Alright, so that's that. For your consideration, the catchmoon. Even got a nice little hit squad in there, and they still died on a couple of hits. Nothing crazy. Even the Riven isn't something that deals like a ton of damage. It's not like a CCCD MS Riven or anything. It's not a god roll. It's just multi-shot and projectile speed, so you can shoot further down to enjoy more of the Arcoplasmor-like effect of it, because it definitely got nerfed. But anyway, the weapon's still pretty strong. And I'm going to be harping more on the multiplicative damage, because with the new Overguard changes, or with the new Overguard, not changes, they didn't change anything recently. But because you're not getting the boost from like viral or like corrosive to the health pool that you're used to when you deal damage to an enemy, you need more raw damage. And the multiplicative damage, the weapons that interact multiplicatively with the galvanized aptitude mod. Galvanized shot. This is sort of like not necessarily a cheat code. It's not a cheat code. But this is an incredibly helpful way of getting your damage up. So I'm probably going to be making a couple of videos about these. I know I've done one for the Stalta. But these weapons can deal significantly more damage than normally to a single target. It's never going to help an AoE weapon, but in terms of single target damage, it's significantly better. So for your consideration, the catchmoon Haymaker Splat, it's like a moldy, like a golden moldy oldie that still holds its weight. But you need projectile speed on it to get the scaling up, because the 16-meter range that it has normally, frankly, is garbage. So you should be running at least lethal momentum. But I even rolled a Riven to get the fall off up. So for your consideration, it's a nice little gun. It does hell of a lots of damage. You get a nice Rhino buff, you'll be hitting for millions. So for your consideration, thank you guys for watching the video. Have a blessed day.